Look, I have a penny again. But only for a treat to disappear again. I'm sorry, guys. Welcome to Deconstructing Damsels. I keep forgetting to say that, but that's me, and I am Jessica Hannon. We are one and the same, and this wonderful creature is Penny, and I love her dearly, and right now she's looking for more treats because she's so unloved and mistreated, and the poor thing just never gets anything out of life. I'm telling you. She's definitely not spoiled rotten. Yeah, anybody believe that? Yeah, me either. Anyone who's on Twitter knows that this dog is spoiled rotten. Now, my mask. I said this in the last video. And so, the mask is basically, my teeth are kind of jacked up. Like, honestly. That's why sometimes I have a lisp in my, in my things now. It is what it is. It's life. I'm a diabetic. It happens. I can only do what I can do, right? So, but I'm wearing this specific mask because my husband designed it for me. And if you look at the text underneath, you will see that's actually text from one of my papers that I wrote when I was in college. So it's a whole big deal. And right now my husband is teasing the dog left, right, and center. So.
No, she's nodding. She's agreeing with you.
Here. I like how you hit it at me. That was nice. And then it disappeared somewhere. Somewhere. Right? This is my husband in a nutshell. We're improvising our, like, onion thing for this. Oh, he's having issues feeding this poor dog. So I shall do this. Penny, come on. Here you go. Come on. Good girl. Okay. So, now we should do the unboxing. This is historical romances. I actually got these books for the historical you know, the readathon, the hashtag HRR readathon that I was using all in like the January 15th to the 21st, but didn't open them in time because life got in the way. So, I'm gonna do it now. No rush to do it, so I waited a little while. I needed to find a few because I have to find some step backs for Step Back Saturday anyway. So, I'm going to show this box. Because one of the books is obvious. It's a little full. There's like 23 books, I think, in here. Like in the paranormal one, there was like 20. So, I'm doing my best to kind of give myself some comfort food of ways. You know, I'm working on things slowly. I've got to get a bookshelf eventually and stuff like that, but that costs money and that has time, and so I have to wait. So in the meantime, I am getting my big packets on eBay because I can't go to get like a book for 50 cents here. It doesn't exist. I can't go get a store credit because they don't exist. Like, I'm in Germany, and English books are not quite as prevalent in all the used bookstores, and with lockdown happening, it is what it is, right? But I have a whole bunch of books, and I've been collecting them and putting them together, so I'm looking forward to that. Now, on to the stuff. So, I don't remember what was in the box for the most part. It's been a brand new experience for all of us. I would say that I would let you see the box as I open it, but it's so taped up, I'm kind of like, afraid if I do too much, it's going to fall all the way apart. Granted, that wouldn't be bad if I had the space on my bookshelf for all these books yet. But really, our bookshelf right now is a DVD shelf that we kind of converted because it was like $5 or $10 on eBay, and not the like $40 that they normally are. I mean, I can get one from IKEA, but IKEA's delivery is 30 euros. That's more than actually what the product is. So, now we wait. Eventually somebody will have something from enjoy. Alright. Okay. So I guess to start with, we have, oh, I should mention most of these are older books. So, Jill Marie Landis, Daydreamer, which has no step back, but it's The Strangers, I say, you will have a whole new life if you decide to take it. The Stranger's words startled Celine Winters. After all, it wasn't every day that a woman approaches her on the streets of New Orleans asking to switch places. For Celine, it means a chance to escape her troubles. By simply switching cloaks, Celine and the mysterious woman would exchange their lives and fate. Celine would marry a man she'd never met, live in a land she'd never seen, and maybe just maybe follow her heart to a destiny greater than any daydream. This sounds like a much better VC Andrews. I'm down with it. I've heard a lot of VC Andrews, guys. That's some. Oh, this is from 1996. See, I should have had this for the story and thing. Oh well. And then we have, kind of moving around a little bit. Again, another Jill Marie Landis, Blue Moon. Ooh, this one has a step back. But no one will guess this one. Okay, an innocent girl of 19, Olivia Bond is on the run from an ugly and dangerous past. She finds herself alone, lost deep in the frightening world of an Illinois swamp. Then, out of the mist comes a man to save her. A reclusive loner, Noah LaCroix believes he has no need for the outside world, or for things he gave up long ago: home, family, and true love. At first, Olivia is frightened by Noah's mysterious, silent nature. Then suddenly, he begins to touch her heart and soul. But just as these two strangers begin to find happiness, the dangerous secrets of Olivia's past threaten to rip them apart. Now Olivia and Noah must overcome the sadness of their past, if they can dare to dream of a love that only comes once in a lifetime. Like, I love these older historical romances, by the way, because they're so melodramatic. Okay, so we have, Lily Gets Her Man, which is a Harlequin. When was this Harlequin? It's not that expensive, so it came from 2001. Lily Brody had her eyes on the most handsome man in Sweet Springs, Texas, Tyler Kincaid. But she was unable to speak and walk gracefully around him. So when he asked her a matronly question, Lily was delighted, then insulted. How could she marry a man who didn't love her, a man who only wanted a nanny for his child? Widower Tyler Kincaid never wanted to marry again, but he needed someone special to help raise his rambunctious daughter. Lily Brody had morals, and yet Tyler couldn't understand her refusal of him. She got under his skin. Soon Tyler wanted to give her everything: family, marriage, and his love. The question is, would she accept it? Dun dun dun. This makes me laugh because, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the beginning I was reading a lot, like a lot of freebies. And because at the time I had no money, or I had the money, I had no time to vet out things, so whatever. So, dog hair. Alright, so, as it happens, I have a dog who sheds like crazy. But I used to read a lot of those, so this is pretty cool. I used to read like a lot of like the Old West type stuff. Then I have Constance Bettini. Oh no, sorry, Constance Bennett. Whew, I can read, I promise. Morning Sky. This is about cattle ranchers. I have a feeling a lot of these are going to be, because you find a lot of Western stuff here in Germany. Those go there for a moment. We will find out why later. Okay. We have Barbara Michaels, Here I Stay. I don't know how you're staying, but sure. Alright. Turning a decrepit old mansion into a beautiful country home inn isn't easy. But for Andrea Torkinson, the hard work is exactly what her younger brother Jim needs after a serious car accident. Or so she thinks, until Jim is haunted by unearthly voices and eerie visions. It becomes obsessed with a long-neglected graveyard. Or pausing for the highness to have for water. I need to fix my mouth. Okay. Suddenly the impossible becomes terrifying possible, and Andrea must battle an evil force that threatens their lives. You know, guys, I'm going to say this is probably not a romance. You see this a lot here, by the way, where people will put the wrong things in sections of, these big, boxes. So we're going to put that one over there, because I have another one I got to talk about. Then we have Elizabeth Harris, Shadows in the Sand. Let's see. Ooh, that goes from London to Cairo. And apparently, Willa must go somewhere and help Genevieve. No. The family legend. Didn't really tell me a lot. But it seems fairly odd and interesting, and I like odd and interesting. Ooh, it's from 1992 and it's by Avon, so I know it's going to be odd and interesting. That was a high time for that. Let's see. Ooh, Sandra Brown. Sunset Embrace. Now, I'm excited about this because in 2020, yes, Bodice Tipplers, the podcast, did an episode about a Sandra Brown book. So this just amuses me and amazes me because I grew up reading Sandra Brown. Sandra Brown, Sidney Sheldon, Jackie Collins, all those kind of things that they cover. I grew up reading them. Danielle Steele. So this will be very interesting. This is someone about in Texas. Let's see. He's remained true to the wife who died, giving birth to his son. So he's like, nah, I don't want to do that, and yet he does. And I think this may have come from Walmart, guys. Yep, because it's $2.98, and they always did like 98-cent books. Okay, then we have Patricia Cornwall. Not my thing. Sorry to say. I grew up trying to read her. Not my thing. Then we have more Barbara Michaels, The Wizard's Daughter. With her silver gilt curls and sea green eyes, Mary Ann Ransom was a striking beauty, a spirited orphan surviving the backstreets of Victorian London. There were some things more that set her apart. She possessed a gift of second sight, a power that initially awakened her when a twist of fate brought her into the opulent home of a wealthy duchess. It was there the ghostly presence of her own father, a man renowned for his psychic powers, called to her from beyond. But soon her magnificent surroundings and her own powerful abilities become a perilous trap as Marianne discovers that knowing too much can be deadly. Again, it's not a romance, but I'm kind of looking for new things to read, and I think that between these two books, the author seems interesting to me. I like things that are a little bit gothic and a little bit strange. I mean, like when I was in my late teens, maybe early 20s, one of my favorite series was by Faith Hunter, and it was I can't remember the name. I think it was I know the husband's name was Montgomery, and I know that the wife's name was Nicolette. They called her Collie, and love those. But they were so seriously V.C. Andrews gothic. It was crazy, and it was written back then. But I think it's like the Donovan or Don something. Anyway, so those books were really cool to me. Again, I don't remember their last name. I just remember that Collie went through and obliterated everybody she could find, and I was down with this plan. So this reminds me a little bit of that, and I'm down for that. Patricia Cornwall, not so much. And this weird shadow of the seventh moon, warriors and wisdom bearers, the race to dwarfs rule the earth, blah 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 blah. Not my thing. I can hand it to the man that I'm married to because he probably wouldn't enjoy it. Because it sounds something that belongs in the D&D world. You can have it. Oh, you can show them the cover. It's an oddball cover. Really weird. Let's see. We have Barbara Frazee, Almost Home. Oh, this is an interesting step back. Let's see. Catherine Whitfield hadn't left her seamless life in California to get mixed up with a rough around the edges man like Zach Taylor. Tyler, with his well-worn jeans and slow selective smile, he was nothing but a cowboy on the wrong side of the Mississippi. A diversion in her heartfelt quest to discover the father she never knew. Jack has a gentle hand with the horses and a seductive touch with the woman, and when he takes Catherine in his arms, he unleashes the passions simmering just below her cool exterior. Yes, her probing questions and tantalizing ways could cause nothing but trouble, but sometimes a man needs a little trouble. They keep saying these things, this is a historical romance box, and I'm not entirely sure I believe them. This is all a grab bag game, basically. You never know what you're going to find. I was surprised, in the PNR, video when all the paranormal was actually paranormal. I was excited because you never see that around here. Okay. And then we have more. Another Barbara Frazee, Some Kind of Wonderful, which is a fantastic Don Hughes movie, by the way. Let's see. It's the kind of story investigative reporter Matt Winters writes about, not the kind he wants to be living. When he discovers a newborn baby girl on his doorstep, he panics. Then he desperately turns to his tempting, pretty neighbor, Caitlin Devereaux, for help. After all, women are supposed to know everything about babies. Caitlin's natural sensuality intrigues Matt, and her aching vulnerability as she holds a precious bundle piques his curiosity. The wedding gown she creates are famous for fulfilling every bride's fantasies, yet she firmly says that marriage and motherhood are not for her. But her kisses suddenly have Matt dreaming of something wonderful, and he's determined to get the reluctant woman to change his mind. Down with it. Kind of like it. Kind of reminds me, maybe like a really good one actually for June if I can find someone else's read it, because I'm going to try and get, as fast as I can, A Low Country Ride, which is by, I'm going to say your name wrong, sorry, Priscilla Williams, who is amazing, and you should read her. It's her debut. It's been in the work for like 10 years, but it's really interesting because it's set in Charleston, and it's a wedding designer, and it's really fun. And this reminds me of that, so I think that actually be a really good mix-up, and then I can throw in another episode that I've already taped that I would like to do in June, because it's the month is, bridal. That's the theme. Okay, we have Bride of Fury. Okay. A lecherous millionaire wants her for his mistress. A nobleman wanted her for his wife, but headstrong Kate Kingsley gave herself to the wild and wicked Harry, who wanted her body. But her happiness shattered when Kate was forced to marry Harry's older brother. The three of them shared the same house and sometimes the same bed. What they would not share were the terrible secrets. Who is this man who calls himself husband? Is he the kindly doctor, the tender lover, or a monstrous killer known as Jack the Ripper? As their tormented passions reach a terrifying crescendo, Kate must learn the terrible truth. You know what? Hell yeah. I mean, just the back cover is everything, guys. Okay. I'm not going to show them because I'm going to have to use them at some point. Alright. Then we have Jill Gregory, Moonlit Obsession. That sounds like the worst title of a perfume ever. Okay. Electrifyingly beautiful, Amani Carstairs has come to New Orleans as a British spy, placing her country before all else until she met Stephen Burke. He was a powerful, devastatingly handsome agent of the new American nation, a man who captured an enemy's heart and swayed her resolve. An enemy knew that she was being used in a game of international intrigue, but her passion was stronger than patriotism. She longed for Stephen's embrace, craving his lips against her own, eager to feel his hands caressing her flesh. Together they faced a tangled web of intrigue and danger, braving the rumblings of war and battling to preserve a love they could no longer deny. This reminds me of, did you guys ever read Scarlet, which was the sequel to Gone with the Wind, obviously, by Alexandria Ripley? I remember reading it a long time ago. So before the name Skylar was really popular, I actually picked up the name from that book. But I spelled it the masculine way, but they got popular, so if I ever have a kid, now the name's been gone, it's been used in my family. But this reminds me a little bit of that. But, not so weird. But I love the color. Okay. Then we have Captains and Kings. Apparently it was a bestseller on NBC TV. So when the hell was this one? Because I was not a movie, so it must be a hot minute away. 1972. So this is something about like he was like arrived in America in the early 1850s. He was a 12-year-old Irish immigrant, a penniless orphan, blah 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 blah. I don't know if I want to read this or not because it's like thick and kind of boring, it sounds like. But whatever. Talking about he wants his eldest son to be the first Catholic president of the United States. So early Kennedys. Maybe just a little. I think I'm gonna put that in the notepad. Again, I can sell these back and someone else will buy them. So then we have Patricia Hagen. The Savage Heart. It is. Though it broke her heart, Julie vowed to forget Derek Arnhart, the bold captain who had fired her very soul but left her love in ashes. But the wagon train west was led by the one man who would not let Julie forget her past. Derek was consumed by the blazing memories of the raven-haired beauty who had fled from his arms and staked his life in a hostile wilderness to claim the woman he loved beyond all else. And in the cool quiet of the desert night, smoldering passions too long denied finally exploded in a fiery surrender to the magnificent love that was meant to be forever. 1984. I was going to guess the 1980s given, but I'm curious. They talk about yeah. I'm curious to see if this is actually based in the South. Kind of sounds like it may be. Well, apparently they've got taunt nipples on this one, so whatever. Yep. Don't think I'm gonna read this one because it's like everyone knew of his lack of sympathy for the South's cause, and no one jury would have forgiven him a fair trial after he killed the man who had assaulted Julie. An attack precipitated by the revenge on Miles' political views. Nope. But I have no problem keeping it out of anyone else reading it either. I actually have a couple of those books. I have standards, guys. Alright. Then we have another Jill Gregory, Night Thunder. Apparently it's a series because it's Thunder Creek too. Okay, so Joey Warner has to get out of town fast. A favor from a friend has plunged her life into deadly danger and sent the top-flight fashion designer fleeing New York to a place where no one knows her name. The tiny Wyoming town of Thunder Creek may be more than the answer to a prayer. It could hold the key to her past and the only family she has left in the world. The last thing she expects is to fall for a rugged man of the land, a handsome widowed sheriff who calls the wildest places in her heart. Let's see. Basically, blah, 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 blah. Basically, he's going to, keep her from being killed. I mean, that's the idea. Just standard. Okay. So, I also have Catherine Coulter, which is a name I know fairly well because I grew up when I grew up, and this is from '92. It's Lindsay Fox is a successful model, a beautiful woman who hides behind a new name to protect herself from a past of betrayal and treachery and a present filled with sinister shadows. The product of old San Francisco wealth, the daughter of a man who despises her, she is brutally deceived by her sister's husband and continues to live in the shadow of her sister's perfect marriage. Lindsay is finally forced to step up to her past when she meets tough and rugged S.C. Taylor, an ex-cop turned private investigator who is hired to protect her. It is Taylor who helps bring Lindsay out of a past filled with pain towards a future filled with trust and love. But first she has much to overcome, many fears to face. Her life has been threatened, yet her pursuer remains hidden in the shadows. Who wants Lindsay dead, and why? It's a romantic suspense, obviously, which I haven't read a lot of. I read a lot of them, but they usually were paranormal suspense and romantic suspense, so not the same. And then there's Hemlock Bay, which is an FBI thriller. Let's see. It's the 6th novel in the series. Tammy Tuttle. Meet Tammy Tuttle and start praying. She becomes a nemesis of FBI agent Dylan Savage. If this isn't enough, Savage learns that his sister Lily has crushed her explorer into an apparent suicide attempt. Or is it really a murder conspiracy by her husband and his family to gain her very valuable paintings? Enter Simon Russo, art expert and longtime friend of Savage. Together, Russo and Lily are thrust into ever-widening circles of danger that radiate from a notorious collector's locked room. Savage and Sherlock are in top form. I hope you like Hemlock Bay. It's got our address. Oh, it's so cute. This is from when it was in AOL time. I remember AOL mail. This was apparently printed in 2002. But here's on the tail end of that. Okay. Now, the last two that I have left. Claire Harrison, Once a Lover, Harlequin presents. I love category romance, guys. And Margaret Rome, The Marriage of Caroline Lindsay. Okay, so in this one, which has apparently got, I don't know if you can see it, it's actually got like writing all in the back. I don't know. So this is from, it can't be that, I mean, it has to be fairly far back, at least the 90s maybe? 1984. Okay, so Jessica Hurley has become a celebrated author after the breakup of her marriage to Philip Masters. And she wasn't about to give him another chance to ruin her life, especially not now that his precious racing career is over. It was bad enough that Philip wanted to dredge up old hurts and find new reasons for their alienation, but the idea that they could ever reconcile their differences enough to remarry was preposterous. Philip hadn't trusted Jessica with his innermost thoughts when she needed him. How ironic that he would turn to her now when she no longer wanted to care. Huh. Kind of like a second chance romance. And then the other one is, it had been a dreadful shock to Caroline when her sister disappeared, leaving her baby with Caroline, but she vowed herself she would do the best she could for the infant. When the baby's uncle, Domenico Vaccari, appeared with an offer to marry Caroline and give the child a home and security, she felt she could not refuse. A condition of the marriage was that it would be a name only, but when Domenico had made it, he had been under the impression that Caroline was the child's mother. What would his reaction be when he discovered she had deceived him? Oh, this is interesting. And this is an old one, too, because, this is 75 cents. This is from 1968. It was reprinted in 1974. This is an old-ass category. I am highly amused by this. This was printed in Canada, by the way. I haven't seen one of these in a very long time. I grew up with these kind of books. So, this is all really cool to me, and I'm excited, and I can't wait to read some. Obviously, some of them are category corner romances, just like the ones from the NPR box, but, it's going to be fun and exciting. I mean, some of these are taking a long walk off a short pier, but, I can't wait for it. It's going to be fun. One is going to stay out of circulation for the rest of his life, but I'm very happy to, find all these romance books and kind of have just a baseline that's a little bit different, because some of these books I would never pick on my own. I wouldn't, even when I was going through the thrift stores. These were not my areas. I liked cozy mystery romances, or I liked the historical, because we all know I love historical, but also a few contemporaries, the categories. I liked things that were fun. I used to read Cat Martin back in the day when I go to the thrift stores and stuff. So I feel it's nice to have some old and new comforts. So I hope you guys will enjoy it while I'm doing this. And like I mentioned in the last video, some of these will end up on YouTube only videos, because I think that it's fun to have that option. I think that probably, even though it's not a romance, Wizard's Daughter will probably end up here, because I think this is going to be my PNR, my paranormal romance channel for those mini reviews and stuff like that. I also have mini reviews on my Instagram, and you can always find me talking about stuff on my Twitter account. I have a Facebook page, but mostly I just use it to update things. If you want to contact me more, I would suggest either getting on Twitter or email, and all of them across the board are Damsels Podcast. So it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Damsels Podcast. You can also find my love of everything at patreon.com/Damsels Podcast, where we have the category corner. I have reviews. I have as many things that happen on the podcast. I actually put a whole lot more back because I talk to people for hours. So you never know what you're going to find in those conversations. And that's, again, that's where Courtney from the Cult of Domesticity and I read Kissing the Coronavirus. We have another couple coming up along the way. And I'm looking forward to doing this kind of stuff with you guys. I hope you're going to join. If you want to kind of do a little bit of a reading prompt this year, you've got Challenging Damsels. It's just hashtag Challenging Damsels. And I did that because this is a book that I wanted to add into the circulation for the podcast and myself, and I wanted to kind of give everyone a little bit of something new. And so I'm hoping that you'll enjoy that. And I'm trying to breathe without kind of breathing in my mouth, so excuse me. But I hope you enjoyed this video. You subscribe, please, if you would like. So when things are going to come up that other people may not know, because sometimes I forget to post things on Twitter, even though that's my main area of expertise. So we'll see what goes on. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you for my patrons for helping to supply some of this stuff, because some of the cost offset for this. So it was a really big deal, because Again, a single book can be almost $4 with shipping and handling added to it around here. That's €4. So you can imagine what it would be in US dollars. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.